Hey, Tubies, this is Bob Hickman. It is so good to be back with all of you. Well, I want to say thank you to all of you who came out to my last video, Messages from the Spirit World. And if you haven't seen that, that's the video right before this. You can get your spirit messages. And we'll be doing more of that. So make sure to send me your questions, put them in the box below, write me at my YouTube channel, at my website. There's a lot of ways you can reach me or over at Instagram. Next week we'll have another one of those videos. Today I wanted to come here. I wanted to kind of finish off. There was a message I delivered in my previous video to my friend Sister Maggie out of the United Kingdom. And she wrote to me and told me about her life of spiritual experiences. And she explained to me that there had been a lot of struggle along the way because she felt very isolated in her experiences and that she didn't have, a lot of support. And there was actually even hostility generated towards her, not only by some of the spirits that she encountered, but also by the people in her own world. And, I want to talk about that today because I think many people who are traveling the spiritual path find at times that it is in many ways an isolating experience at times. But you see, it doesn't have to be, and that's why I created Spirit Channel. I created Spirit Channel to be a place where people could gather, share their experiences, and not be ridiculed or attacked or harassed for what they believe. Many of you know I come out of the spiritualist background. I am a Wiccan these days, but I still also practice spiritualism. And spiritualism is basically the religion that says there are two worlds. There's the material world and the spiritual world. And actually the two overlap and are not so separate. There are many people that are very sensitive to the other side, to the spirit world. We call these people mediums. Now, contrary to popular belief, a medium is not somebody who's just some charlatan who's, playing a trick. A medium is not somebody who is, specially trained only for this and has no other life. Mediums, you will find, are actually everyday normal people. I myself, as many of you know, work full-time as a psychic and medium, and I live a normal life. Well, as normal as it can be, I suppose. But really, you wouldn't know me from anybody else walking down the street. And I get letters from people who, like Sister Maggie, have written to me and said, Psychic Bob, I'm having really crazy stuff happening in my life. I'm seeing people who are literally appearing to me, who are talking to me. I'm hearing voices. I'm perceiving presences. I'm getting, physical phenomena. Sometimes voices actually materialize in the room, and sometimes they even move objects in my presence. These are all signs of spirit communication and spirit presence. Now, the thing is that we have to understand is that there are two types of spirit entities. Well, actually, there are three types. Contrary to popular belief, I know a lot of psychics and mediums don't believe in demonic entities. I do. So one of the entities that I do believe can harass and upset people are demonic entities. There is a second type of entity, which is a human entity, which is known as an earthbound soul. So we have demonic, which is an inhuman spirit, has never been on earth, incarnate as a human. And then we have humans who are earthbound. And these earthbound souls, many of them are troubled spirits who feel lost in their own lives and cannot make peace inside of themselves or with their higher self or higher power. And they choose when they die to stay on earth because they're afraid to cross over into the light. And then the third type of entity we have are the spirit beings, the higher spirits, higher evolved humans. Some of them evolve into ascended masters. We also have, actually, I guess I'd say fourth class angels as well, which are not human. And they're the other class of spirits that are generally not incarnate, at least not in a permanent way. Angels can take a form that is solid and appears human, but that's only for a short term. So we have demonic entities, we have earthbound human entities, we have evolved spiritual humans, and higher ascended humans, and then we have angels. So these are some of the classes of spirits that mediums encounter. Also, there are also animal spirits as well, but we're not going to touch on that today. That'll be a different video. But these entities, these four classes, are the ones that most people encounter in their spiritual experiences. And, Sister Maggie, I have to tell you, from what you shared with me, you actually have a few different types of situations going on. Sister Maggie mentioned to me that she had a dark cloaked entity around her since childhood. Her mother had felt it, she had seen it. And I said in Messages from the Spirit World that this was actually an earthbound soul. Okay, so that was a spirit of a monk who was very troubled and was drawn to you, Maggie, really because of your light. People, all humans really have light around them. It's the spirit energy. Some people's light is a little brighter, and therefore it draws in more spirits, and that light makes you sensitive to the presence of those in the spirit world. And so this is what accounts for mediumship. Some people's light just simply vibrates at a different, slightly different frequency, and they're able to perceive those other presences that most people in everyday life don't pick up. The deal is, you see, when we come over here from the spirit world, we make an agreement that we have a veil put over our memory. Because the truth is, we've all lived, we've all died, and we've been in the spirit world and we come back to earth. But they take away all of those former memories in order that we kind of get a fresh start here. The challenge is that many people that are mediumistic, like Sister Maggie, their veil never totally gets covered, and so they have memories, sometimes past life memories, as well as such a heightened sensitivity to presences that they're never really able to kind of totally disconnect from that spiritual world. And this is a challenge. And as a psychic, I've been doing readings for over 20 years, and I can tell you I've had many people come to me literally sitting in my desk crying and saying, Bob, I'm so scared. I'm having these experiences. Am I crazy? And I'll tell you, 99.9% of the people who come to me with that are not genuinely crazy, but they are genuinely psychic. Now, this also creates the other issue that we have within the spiritualist community, which is what is psychic and what is psychosis. Now, if you study the DSM manual of mental disorders, many of the traits that psychics exhibit on paper look like psychosis, but they're not. Because people that are psychic tend to be highly functioning. They're very normal. They hold jobs down. They go to school. They have a very ordered life, most of them. People that have mental illness, many of them struggle to maintain balance, to operate in a day-to-day world because their delusions manifest in such a strong way it literally can paralyze them. Now, I'm not saying some mediums don't have it that intense as well, but generally you will find that most mediums come to a clarity of their experience and they know how to kind of get through it. They are not as paralyzed as somebody who would be mentally ill. My teacher who trained me was also a gifted therapist, and she put me through psychological profiling before taking me on because she said, I like to make sure, she told me, she said, I like to make sure my students are balanced mentally and can function in order to take on this type of work. And so when I passed my psychological profiling, I definitely was not psychotic. I was quite a normal person, highly functioning, and just an everyday real person without any mental illnesses. And what's interesting is that many people who are first experiencing paranormal phenomena oftentimes go to family or to friends, and when they express this, the red flags go up and the families become very concerned and they say, oh my God, my friend, my son, my daughter, my neighbor, they've gone crazy. We better call the psychiatrist in. And many people who are psychics over the years have found themselves literally ending up in a mental institution who are really truly not mentally disturbed. I think going to the institution would disturb them, put them in that state, but they're not that way before they go there. And so, Sister Maggie, I say this to you because I feel around you there has been a lot of conflict where people are judging you as somehow not competent or not stable and questioning you. And I feel like I want to say I don't pick that up around you. And in all of our communications, you've been very balanced and sane. As a medium, I feel energy, and when somebody is truly mentally ill, such as experiencing psychosis, that carries its own unique vibration, and I tend to pick that up. So I say we must be very careful that we don't start labeling people who are genuinely gifted. You see, our problem, part of the problem is in the Western culture, we have been taught that everything that we believe is just here and now. It's material. And so we've disconnected from our spiritual selves. And our culture has made us, forced us in many ways to be disconnected. You know, it's very interesting because many people in the Celtic Isles and Ireland and Wales and Scotland and also England, many of them in their younger years, many years ago, you'd read more accounts about fairy sightings. And they would say, oh, I saw the fairies. And nobody in those days, back years ago, thought it at all strange. Just, oh, well, you know, the little people are about. And what we have is a case of basically an entire race of people, the Celtic peoples, who are very spiritually attuned, and in a culture that recognizes and validates that. And therefore, you have very well-adjusted people who also see fairies, and it's not considered insane, nor are they crazy. They are having genuine paranormal experiences. But in our kind of hardline, pragmatic, modern-day culture, particularly here in the United States, where I come from, if you say you believe in fairies past the age of 5, oh, you're crazy, you know. But the fact is, there are many accounts of people, even, you know, beyond the age of 5, into their, you know, 80s and 90s, who are not senile, who are actually having paranormal experiences. And so I think as a culture, we have to step back and reevaluate what is reality. You see, I think because of modern physics, the idea of multiple dimensions and multiple realities is starting to really come to the forefront. So when people say, as you've heard, you may have read stories where people say, it's like a doorway opened and spirits came through. I felt like I was crossing between worlds and they have an experience. This, I believe, is the blending of dimensions. And now the quantum physicists are saying that it appears that the way reality is structured, it could create multiple dimensions. They're saying this now. Well, we psychics and spiritualists and Wiccans have been saying this for thousands of years. We were all called crazy, but now science is catching up. You see, I always say the mysticism of today is really the science of tomorrow. So it doesn't surprise me that this is happening. Sister Mags, I have to tell you, the other thing, and I'm jumping around here, but the other thing around you that I do pick up is I do feel that currently around you, I do pick up presence of what I want to call demonic entities. Now, I don't say that to scare you. You're not going to be killed by these entities. I feel that they're very attached to a property that you're at. I feel that in where you're living or just recently lived, I pick up an entity that I feel has like been, in a sense, almost conjured through some sort of tragedy. I feel there are people who actually do practice the dark arts, black magic. They can conjure up entities that are very destructive. And I feel that in your area, there was perhaps even a coven of Satanists or dark arts practitioners that in some way have opened a portal in and around and near where your property is. And I really feel for you that a move would really actually relieve you of that. I think that part of the struggle is that wherever you go, your light is very strong. And sometimes that light generates activity in the spirit world. You do have around you what I believe are gifts of physical mediumship. Now, just to clarify, and we'll have to do a whole nother video on this, but there are two types of mediumship. There's physical mediumship and there's mental mediumship. For example, when I do messages from the spirit world, that is mental mediumship. I am channeling energy through my mind and receiving impressions from the spirits present that then I exchange and share. That's called mental mediumship. Physical mediumship is where a medium has physical effects occur around them, such as a voice floating in the air. I've actually had this at seances where I will sit and be in trance, and you'll hear a voice talking like this high above me, kind of to my right in the air. Sometimes it's on my left, just depends, but it's in the air. This is called physical mediumship. Sometimes in a physical mediumship seance, objects like, say, you may have a pair of glasses on the table. Well, they might rise up into the air, float across the room, and set down, or they might just fly off the table by themselves. These events of physical mediumship is another type of mediumship, and this is where the spirit entities pull power from a medium and use it to generate effects in the physical world. I also one time did do a seance, and I had a full-bodied apparition. A man literally appeared right beside me. Everybody in the room, there's probably about 15 people in the room, witnessed this. This was, I'm not crazy, I didn't imagine, it certainly wasn't a special effect trick. And to be honest, it's only happened once in my life. But I'll tell you, I'll never forget it. And then at the end of the time of his visit, he literally just sunk down into the floor, almost like there was an elevator in the floor and he went down and just dissolved. And this spirit form was generated through what we call ectoplasm. And I probably will have to do an entire video just on ectoplasm. But just know for now that, particularly in your case, Sister Maggie, I pick up two types of mediumship around you. I do get mental mediumship, so I do believe you can trust your impressions. And I also get physical mediumship, which means that sometimes the spirits pull energy out of your body to create manifestations. And generally, these are objective manifestations that everybody can see. You are not cursed. I know you may feel like you're cursed, but this is actually a blessing, because it means that once you let go of your fear of that interaction, you'll have greater control over it. And, when I first started in mediumship, I didn't know about physical mediumship. I would hold seances to receive messages, and physical phenomena would start occurring. I was very afraid of this. And my own teacher told me, she said, well, you have the makings of a physical medium, and you want to study up on that. And so I started reading books on that and learning how that happens and how that works and the protocols around that type of mediumship. In fact, I would encourage you, there are a few books, I don't have one of them here with me, but the first book I would recommend is called On the Edge of the Etheric. And this is by Arthur Findlay, who was a famous supporter of spiritualism. He was a Scottish gentleman, a member of the British Empire. He had an OBE, Order of the British Empire, from the monarch, from I believe it was King George VI. And he was very famous. He donated his wealth to spiritualism, and his entire mansion in Scotland, actually it's in England, is called the Arthur Findlay College of Mediumship. His book, as I said, is called On the Edge of the Etheric. That was his first book. It came out in the 20s. I believe it's even still in print today. If you can't find it, get it, an old copy. They're worth it. And this is his second book, a follow-up to that book, which I do have here today, which is called When Two Worlds Meet. It's by Arthur Findlay. It says conversations between this world and the next. And this is the second book. And both of those books, On the Edge of the Etheric and Where the Two Worlds Meet, both deal with physical mediumship. So, Sister Maggie, this is probably actually easier to get in Britain. So I would encourage you to look for that. Most used bookstores carry it. Or in London, I know that there's some very famous occult bookshops, and I bet you could get it there. But for those of you here in the United States, definitely look around, check on the internet. You may be able to find this. So Where Two Worlds Meet and On the Edge of the Etheric, they're both by, let's see if you can see that, Arthur Findlay, Findlay. These will help you to understand more about the physical mediumship. The other book that I highly recommend is by another famous medium, which I love, Leslie Flint. He also is British. This is his book called Voices in the Dark. And this is from the Arthur, let's see who published this. Well, this one was published by Two Worlds Publishing, which I don't think is in publishing anymore. But if you look up Arthur Findlay, there's an Arthur Findlay Foundation, and they carry this book. And you can look around, you can probably find this on the internet. Voices in the Dark, and that's a picture of him. And he was an amazing medium. He had a gift similar to what I have, which is voice phenomena. He could materialize voices in the air that were objectively heard by everybody in the seance. He was tried and tested by the American and British Psychical Researches Societies, and they were amazed at his results. He's not a fraud, and his work bears itself out. So there are books out there, and I would encourage you, any of you studying mediumship, to explore both of these, Arthur Findlay and also Leslie Flint, both excellent mediums. Well, Arthur Findlay didn't claim to be a medium, but he did studies in mediumship, and so I recommend any of the books by him or by Leslie Flint. Wonderful, wonderful contributors to spiritualism. Anyways, so I think we're going to finish. We're going to continue on in another series next week with this. But just for today, I just want to come here and kind of clarify, that if you are having paranormal phenomena, come here to Spirit Channel. If you have friends that are going through this and are scared, send them here. We can help them. Chances are they're probably not crazy. And even if they are, they're actually, this is the other thing, which is that sometimes people that are having mental health issues also are psychic on top of it. So there can be that reality too. But generally, most people that are psychic are actually quite normal. So you shouldn't fear. And Sister Maggie, I want you to hear that from me. You are not losing your mind. You are not going off the deep end. What you are is very gifted, very psychic. And I think that's a wonderful place to be. And I know for you it has been a struggle. But I want to encourage you, don't run from it. Embrace it. Embrace your abilities. Study how it works. Study case history. Meet mediums. You will build a support team, and you won't be alone, and you'll learn to work with it, and you'll actually bring transformation not only to your life, but to many other lives and the lives of the spirits you interact with. Anyways, guys, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming here today. We're going to have more on this, and I hope you'll keep watching. I think next week we're going to follow on. We'll have another video on this as well. So keep it here at Spirit Channel. I hope you'll like this, favorite, share it with your friends. It's important that you guys pass these videos along because there are many people who need what we do here, and I think you can be a great help in helping the word to get out. Many people have come to me and said, Psychic Bob, I was at the edge, at the end of my rope, thought I was losing it, and somebody gave me your video and it helped me. So some of you out there who have been sharing my videos, you're actually saving lives because you're giving people the resources to come to peace with their situations and to learn to grow and to transform. And I thank you for helping me to help them, and I hope I'm helping you. So it's all a big circle. We're helping each other. Well, guys, listen, thanks for being here. Listen, again, give me thumbs up, share this, like it, favorite, post it on your Facebook, spread the word around. And we're going to help all of you who are struggling with the issues of hauntings and mediumship and knowing how to be at peace with that. Thanks for being here. We'll see you back here next week. Blessings to you all.